Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
What if I told you I'd take you to a place you'd never been and do something to you that's never been done?
I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate your interest in this subject as well. I'm sure you're used to talking music and everything, and now we're going to talk aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, and whatever else seems a little out there in the world today.
Well, it's something that's always, it's interested me. I can't say I've seen anything. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But when John brought it up, I said, no, the Bigfoot thing has really infatuated me the past few years, especially around Kentucky. I'm always reading, there's a local a regional Bigfoot site in Kentucky. And people are always seeing stuff around here, and UFOs, obviously. I mean, one night I was watching, we were at the practice house in Midcap County. This is back in the 80s. It was, we took a little break and we're outside. Of course, here in South Central Kentucky, it's beautiful at night, on a spring night. And I just remember seeing this thing zipping around the sky. And I'm like, what is that? To this day, I have no idea what it was. It was like the side of a star, but it was like just going bip, bip, bip. I don't know.
What's funny is those sightings have been, they're not rare. I've heard a lot of stories of sightings of UFOs or whatever. Like, obviously it's UFO, you don't know what it is. So it would just shoot across the sky and stop right at it and then zip across again. I actually have an audio clip of Lemmy from Motorhead saying he saw the same thing of just some light going across the sky and stopping and then going the other way and stopping. And it's just.
So as far as an alien's point of view, now I remember you once told me a story about actually seeing, aliens. Was it Yorkshire Dales or something some years ago?
With the Rocking Vickers, we stopped the car and we got out and watched it. Came over the horizon like 1,000 miles an hour and stopped dead. And we don't have anything that does that now, never mind then. And we looked at it about 4 minutes, it said up there, and then went from stop to original speed. So I know they're out there, I don't have a problem with it.
Yes.
I mean, it's a phenomenon, man. It's like you don't know what it is. I mean, is that something that we could actually have ourselves?
Well, and I think this is the 80s. This is back when the Headhunters were. This is before we signed a record deal, and I think 2 or 3 of the guys were out there. We were about to look, and we're like, "What is that?" I'm a believer. There's stuff out there. I do. That's the reason when this came up, I'm like, wait, man, I believe God made an infinite universe. He's far, I don't even know how to comprehend, our creator, and there's other dimensions. I'm sure that we encounter other dimensions at times. And I just because I haven't really encountered it myself, I do believe in my heart that it's there. And some people are more prone to receive that stuff than maybe I am. I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting to me.
Well, I mean, there's, obviously, I think today compared to, 30, 40 years ago, I think, it's people might be more open-minded now to accept this as being, maybe not of this planet. We don't know, I think, videos that we see on TV or online are kind of opening other people's minds open to the possibilities of this not being from here, that there is life elsewhere. I mean, you're in Kentucky. I mean, that's a pretty conservative state. So I'd imagine there's a lot of religious people there in a sense of, what kind of, is there any kind of like feedback or any kind of, maybe against the grain for UFOs out there? Do you ever hear people talking that that's impossible? There's no way there's UFOs. It's, we're the only ones here.
Well, Kevin, I'm a Christian, but I believe they are out there. So, I don't mind telling you I'm a Christian. And there's some people go, they go, they try to write stuff off, they'll if somebody sees something, they're going to try to, write it off to being something. But we were on the road. I don't know, this had been back 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And this was over in East Tennessee. I didn't see this, but the bus driver and a fellow that was traveling with us at the time, they were sitting in the bus, and all of a sudden they started hollering. They said, there's just something went over this bus that they swear it was a UFO. You know, it was over, it had to be over, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was in Arkansas, you know. But yeah, but I didn't disagree with them. They probably thought I did, but I thought, you know, I'm just thinking, there's stuff out there. I just haven't experienced a lot of it, but I'm interested in it. Have you had experiences?
I've had a few. I just want to real quick hit up the Bible real quick. Sure. I was talking to an artist who made a piece about the book of Ezekiel having the ship coming down from the sky.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's either in there and you want to accept it or you don't want to accept it, and you know, and that's what it is. I understand, but I think when you see something, you know, it really will change your perception, you know, and that's what it is. Because when I was like 19, I saw the sky, 3 really high in the sky. Like if you look straight at it, they would just appear kind of high. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to kind of look off to the side a little bit to see them. There were 3 black triangles, 3 tiny little black triangles in a triangle formation. That was like way up in the sky. I'm from Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley. So this was up near Silmar, right above my head. And then that was it. Then I really haven't seen anything until I moved to Arizona. And we were doing this show, my alien show. We were doing it there every Saturday. After the show, my partner and I went outside and we looked up in the sky. It was right by the airport in Phoenix. And I looked up, I saw this big sphere, but it was like really high up again. And then it was kind of like bouncing up and down. And you know, when you see something that doesn't look right, you get a feeling in your body, you know, you get that kind of sensation of like, this isn't natural, you know?
Well, it's probably your spirit. It's probably a check in your spirit. You know, there's something else going on there, and your spirit knows. No,
that's the feeling. You get that vibe inside you, you know, it's that energy, right? That spirit. Like you're right, because it kind of knocks you off your senses a little bit, you know, because you don't know what it is. It's flying in a weird thing. It was bouncing up and down, and then another one came right out of it. There was 2 of them. And then before you knew it, there was this little white plane that they disappeared and a white plane flew by over it. I mean, I saw this with my radio partner at the time. We saw this, you know, just like you saw the UFO zipping across the sky with other people. I mean, you saw it.
Yeah, I saw these little, it was like a little light bouncing around. And I know some of my bandmates saw it, and that was back in the 80s. I'm definitely open to it, you know, like I say, I'm a Bible believing Christian, but I just, in my spirit, in my heart of hearts, I believe it exists. I believe there's another dimension, and sometimes things cross into our dimension. I don't know how it happens. I'm not that smart. Bigfoot intrigues me. Ghosts intrigue me. UFOs intrigue me. Anything like that. And the past few years, there's been so many Bigfoot sightings around here. Of course, it could be when maybe people see the Headhunters, they think we're Bigfoot. I'm just kidding about that. But seriously,
I definitely said the song. I said the song coming out of those, right?
The Bigfoot boys. But seriously, around here, there's been a lot of sightings, you know, in Kentucky.
I was thinking about this. I was like, what am I going to ask him? Being in Kentucky, I got to figure. Well, you know, obviously the Civil War was big in that area, so ghosts and spirits coming from that. You have definitely Bigfoot, Native American influence over there. Any stories of small people?
Oh gosh, there are a lot of stories. Our rhythm guitar player, vocalist Richard, his sister lives in a house here in Glasgow, and it was an army hospital, I understand. And her son says he was looking out the window one morning he saw a Civil War soldier standing outside. you know, I mean, he swears, and I think, and Mary Jane has encountered stuff in that house. Yeah, there's a lot of history, Civil War history here, and there's a lot of Native American stuff. So yeah, I hear stories all the time. Of course, if you go to Louisville, you know about Waverly Hills Sanitarium. Do you know about that?
No, I don't.
Oh my. Well, I used to go in that area all the time. Never thought a thing about it, but it was a TB sanitarium back in the 40s or 50s, maybe into the 60s. And ghost hunters are always going there, and there's been all kind of stuff recorded there. You look it up, Waverly Hills, Louisville,
Okay.
Kentucky, and
Sounds familiar.
there was a lot of deaths due to back in
Electroshock
the day.
treatment.
Oh,
Like,
there's no telling.
They did some crazy, they did some crazy stuff to people back then, huh?
They did. It was a TB hospital, and I don't know if they're maybe turning it into something now. They're going to tear it down. It was just dormant for years, and there was a little park. We were kids, teenagers and early 20s. We'd go to this park and party, and never thought a thing about it. And in that same area is another place called Hot Rod Haven. Supposedly, there's a graveyard that one of the statues supposedly bleeds and stuff like that. I've never seen this, but I've heard this all my life. Right. But there's a lot of things in Kentucky like that. A lot of stories.
I can only imagine. I mean, that's what I was thinking. It was like, how many stories as a kid were you told, not to go into the woods?
I've heard so many. Hey, when I was a kid, I lived in Cedar Flats, Kentucky. You gotta understand, I grew up in Louisville, and every summer we would make a trip to Midcap County, because that's where my parents were from, and we'd stay with my aunts and uncles, and during the summer breaks. But we moved to Midcap County in the latter part of 1966 and then around 68, latter part of 67, we moved to Cedar Flats. And there was a gentleman that lived about a mile from our house named Neil Ford. God bless him. He's gone now. He would tell us ghost stories. And these are stories he had heard growing up, and we'd be afraid to walk home. We were scared to walk home. Now, I don't, now what I know about people that's encountered ghosts, there's not really anything to really be afraid of. I mean, there are spirits, there's some evil spirits, and that can get into another theological discussion, which we don't have to do that. There's some stuff out there that you don't want to encounter, right?
Absolutely. I've actually talked to some ghost hunters before, where they're talking, when you see these guys on TV trying to entice the ghosts to come out and do these things, you're opening yourself up. You're vulnerable to the energy. So if you are, and it goes back to energy, of course, but if you're negative yourself and you have your own personal demons that you're dealing with and everything like that, you're opening yourself up to an entity that might have nefarious, outcomes, but you have to be strong-willed. You have to be very positive when you deal with ghosts, is kind of how I've been told, in a sense. If you're going in with a bad attitude, a negative attitude, that they're going to zap right into that, and that could affect you. I think that could.
Yeah.
That's possession, right?
Well, yeah. As a Christian, I don't worry about that, because I'm filled with the Spirit. And I don't believe a demonic spirit is going to. You could encounter spiritual warfare, and that's definitely biblical. That's going on around us all the time, And you don't want, if you're not strong, and you go up against something like that, that's some bad stuff. And it's bad enough to be a Christian dealing with it. You got to be very strong and you got to know the Bible very well. I think most generally, a lot of ghosts people encounter, and you would probably know the terms for this. A lot of times when people maybe just see a ghost. It's just like a movie replaying. It's like energy. And it happens every so often. It's like a movie replaying every so often. And I don't understand that. I've read a few books on ghost sightings and things like that. And what do you actually call those sightings when they're almost like a replay of a movie?
I know what you mean. I don't know the exact term for it. It's like a moment captured in time.
Yes, exactly. It's just like something captured in time. But there are, you go to cemeteries. There's ghost hunters go to cemeteries, and then they take their pictures and encounter orbs and things like that. Are some of these spirits? Have some of these spirits chosen not to go to their destination? I don't know. Right. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Like you said, it could be just that ball of energy that they left behind that just replays.
It could be.
I mean,
could very well be.
We don't know these things. I mean, I think you've never had a ghost experience, you said, right?
I've never had a ghost experience, but I've heard things, and even this house right here. When we first moved here, there would be noises just happening out. It hasn't done it lately, but we first moved here, a couple times the garage door just decided they wanted to go up, and I didn't, it didn't make no sense to me. Right. And some noises, but no, I haven't really had anything that my arm hairs stood up, but I'll tell you, in my spirit, I believe it's there. I do. You do too.
I do. I've felt a hand on my back.
Okay.
I've literally, I'm sitting there and I got a hand that was coming from this way, from behind me.
Oh wow.
And I felt it over my shoulder, and then I turned around and no one was there. I like you knew, when someone touches you, and it was like a grip. It was like a grip on my shoulder. And it was the weirdest feeling I ever had. And I looked around and nobody was there. It was like, so I don't know what that means. Someone's watching me. Someone's, got my back for me, or I don't know. Maybe it's just something there at that house that just, happened to be there. I don't know.
There's spirits in houses. There's ghosts. And what I've read is usually when that happens, the temperature drops. Have you heard that? Yeah. Maybe you've encountered that. And I think I've encountered stuff like that. You go, why is it so cold all of a sudden? And I probably encountered stuff, just wasn't perceptive enough to understand what was going on. But I'm telling you, man, I've just always been infatuated by the subject. I've read a few books on ghost sightings in Kentucky, in different places. And there, like I say, there's some really good books out there. Growing up in Louisville, there was always these stories. There was always a story. I grew up on 6th Street in Louisville, and we always heard there was a witch that lived in the area. You got to watch out for the witch. And then as I grew up, I went, oh, that was just somebody talking. Then later on, I read somewhere where there was supposedly people used to sight a witch in that part of town. I didn't know it though, but there's a lot of hauntings in old houses, old schools. And as Richard's sister said, she actually walked in the room one night, and there was a ghost of a little girl watching her son, and she finally had to have a conversation and say, we got to live here together. And so
were things better then?
Yeah, things were better after that. Yeah, things were better, but they've seen some stuff over there. Yeah,
that's funny. You said you're interested in the subject, and beforehand you didn't realize maybe you were experiencing a ghost. But now that you're more aware of it, are you more receptive to the change in temperature? Now you're thinking twice now, instead of it just being a cold room. Why is it so cold? Now you're thinking like, well, maybe this could be something else besides just a cold room, or a cold breeze that comes through you, or you know,
That's
maybe
right.
you get brushed upon, something, you know, somebody touches you on the side, you don't know where, you know what I mean? It's like, there's so many things that you can connotate to, you know, the spirits and ghosts, or it could be just whatever else that's just in the room that's making that, I don't know, you know, it's like,
Well, no, I'm with you. And my cat, you know, I believe animals are very perceptive, very perceptive. And I'm in the basement here a lot, especially late at night, watching Westerns. And my cat will all of a sudden, you know, just zone in on something. And I'm not even sure what it is. And he'll just start, he'll walk around looking around, and I'm wondering, he's picking up on something. There could be something in this house. If it is, it's not evil. I don't feel like there's any evil in this house,
right.
or anything like that. But and like I say, most ghosts, I believe, that are, I don't think they're evil or anything to be afraid of. I mean, there are things to be afraid of, and you shouldn't want to cross that line unless you're prepared for that. That's, you know, I remember going to see The Exorcist back in the 70s and just being scared to death, you know. But, you know, that was based on a real story, though.
Right.
You know, so you know, I don't want to get near that stuff. I'm not afraid, because I have a strong spirit in me,
right,
from above, but I don't want to fight anything like that.
right. Of course, I think when you got the confidence in yourself, and you know, you got the faith behind you, I mean, nothing's gonna happen. Like I said, I think it happens to people who are just down on themselves, who are depressed, who are just sad, and they open themselves up to these kind of things. That's my theory on it. When you talk about the ghost too, and real quick, you mentioned that
Sure.
that, the psych ward that they wanted to, you know, break, you know, close down, what have you. I mean, if they tore it down and put something else up there, I mean, wouldn't the spirits still be there? You know,
Could be.
I mean, that's why I think, like, Kentucky being the whole state of, you know, the Civil War and the Native Americans and stuff, like, no matter where you walk, you're going to run into something that might be, you know, something that might have happened there.
Exactly. Yeah, there's like old TB hospitals like Waverly Hills. Wait, you'll read about that. I am. I'm surprised you never heard about that place.
I might have. I just don't. I meant that's not like in my brain right now. I was thinking, like, I definitely. I think I've heard of it. It sounds very familiar, so I definitely want to look into it.
You're right. Old hospitals,
right?
Graveyards, and of course, you know, there's been cases of people building over Indian burial grounds and different things like that, which is a whole different, you know, that gets pretty crazy as well. And, you know, spirits linger behind for some reason. I don't know. They just choose not to go to their destination, or it's not time. What is it? You know, I don't know.
That's the mystery, isn't it? That's what keeps it fun.
Yeah, and there's supposedly a cemetery in Elizabethtown, which is about an hour from here, and some people have called it the gateway to hell. You could probably look that up as well. There's a haunted cemetery in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and of course I don't go check these things out. Just ever since I was a little kid, man, I don't even go to the cemetery, even though
I don't even
listen. Yeah. Believe there's stuff out there, but I don't go to cemeteries at night and stuff, you know. But my parents, my mother, who was her and her twin sister were so crazy. They would hide at Pink Ridge Cemetery. There was a church next door, and they would hide in the cemetery. And when people walked by, they'd scare them to death. And I couldn't do that, man. But I do believe. I believe the paranormal stuff exists. I don't know. You've probably had some people on here that have really had some pretty strong cases, I guess. Do you ever get any scoffers? Anybody like, come on?
I mean, I would not really as a guest, in a sense, where people I've talked to, it's really funny because I think people want to scoff because they're kind of scared of the topic a little bit. And you know, so this one time I'm with this couple, and I don't tell them what I do. I don't tell them I talk about aliens or anything like that. She just talks about, I was in Sedona, Arizona, and we had a, you know, alien experience, and this was really cool. And then the husband said, "Oh, I really don't believe in aliens, blah, 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 and this and that." And so then I was talking to the lady. I said, "I actually, do a radio show about aliens and UFOs." And she lit up, right? She was like, "Oh my God, yeah, this and that." And then the husband all of a sudden said, "Well, there was this one time that I saw something in the sky." So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel they need someone there to justify that it's okay to come out and say that they saw something.
That's right. Exactly.
If they're cornered and by themselves, they might, fend you off a little bit and be defensive.
Well, that's true. A lot of folks won't talk about a Bigfoot sighting at all because of being ridiculed,
right,
or questioned or made fun of. And then years later, they'll come out. I read this stuff a lot, man.
right.
And then they'll finally come out and write about it. And I believe these people have seen it. Now, why some people see things more than others, I don't understand that. Some are just more, it's almost like being a radio receiver, like a AM, FM receiver. Some people can receive these things better than others. Maybe some of our antennas aren't as high up,
Well, I would blame maybe a cell phones for cutting off our antennas a little bit. Maybe that might be.
You think it's hurt things a bit?
I think a little bit. I mean, look, we don't know what these cell phones do to our bodies. We don't know what computers and electronics really do. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like we're kind of just playing along and seeing how it goes. So I think when we get so absorbed in our technology, it takes us out of the nature realm. Like when you see people walking around the streets, their heads are straight into their phones. They're not looking up. They're not looking straight ahead. They're missing the world around them. That's why they're not seeing anything. That's why they're not receptive to things.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, that's a big reason you're not really communicating with God either, because you're not listening. Yeah. Not listening. But I agree, man.
You're not paying attention.
And there's too much going. There's just too much going on. And I was listening to a preacher one day, and he was talking about when the men went to the moon, that they started picking up stuff that they could never pick up down here because they were so isolated, and that they weren't being bombarded by information from all sides and stuff. And we're just bombarded by something all the time, right. Whether it's loud guitars,
I'd rather music, have that.
Cell phones, but guitars are fun.
Well, we get totally consumed in everything else but ourselves and our own well-being. We don't have time to sit there and take a walk through nature, without our socks and with shoes and socks on. So we've lost touch with that as a society as a whole. I mean, it's easier for you in Kentucky to get into the nature than it is for me in LA. Yeah. I mean, for me, I have to take my shoes and socks off, walk on my front lawn if I want to get close to nature. So we've been detached a little bit from that, and I think missing out on those receptions, the antenna is not picking up on what's really going on around us, I think is a big lack in our I don't know, maybe our maturity as human beings go. I think we need to get back to nature, and that's
exactly. Do you remember the old song? Maybe, I'm not sure how old you are. There was a song called "Turn Your Radio On." I know Ray Stevens had it on, back in the 70s. Turn your radio on, listen to the master's radio. It's basically opening yourself up. We're receivers. Your spirit, it communicates with our creator, and our spirit picks up on things. And if we're not open, you've got to be open. I think that's how you pick up on these other paranormal things that happen.
It's very fascinating. There's a thing called it was in a movie called Repo Man. Did you ever see Repo Man?
I probably have. I've watched so many movies on the bus over the years. That's what we do out there.
Oh, I'm sure, right. You got a lot of time to kill on the road.
We do, especially on long trips. Yeah,
right. This was called there was a piece in the movie where this guy talks about the basically, if you think of something, let's say you think of a plate of shrimp, right? And then later in the day, you're going to see something that says plate, or you're going to see something that says shrimp, or you might even see something that says plate of shrimp. It's the idea that these are signs that that are relative to you in a sense. Like, I don't know if you ever experienced anything like that before. Let me give you an example.
Okay, sure.
I was driving my car. I was listening to Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks. Don't go dragging my heart around. Right?
Oh yeah, great song.
Yeah, great song. I'm listening to it, but I'm being funny. I'm like, don't go dragging my heart. Dragon, like a dragon. So I'm thinking like dragon. And I'm not lying when I say this. I'm on my way to work. I park my car. I go in, and I got to find a computer. I'm looking for a computer. I go online, local guy computer. His last name is Dragon.
Oh wow!
And that might be whatever it is, however you want to look into it. To me, that means something. That's
synchronicity.
Synchronicities, yeah. And I think they're there all the time. If you don't see them, you're going to miss them. But if you do see them, they're really fun to pick up on.
I see your point. I agree with you. Yeah,
so
sometimes little coincidences aren't coincidences. They're
right.
There again, our creator, the cool thing about our creator, he already knows that things are happening before they happen, and we just don't.
We have to get to those places.
He sees it, when we won't, and I know there's different takes on theology. Well, I won't go there, but he knows what's going to happen. But yeah, we pick up on things as they go along.
Right. And I think when you see these synchronicities line up, I think it's a sign that you're on the right path. That's how I look at it, because I don't know. I mean, because if you miss them, then obviously you're not enjoying things. In the way I see it, the way I view it, I'm trying to pick up more on these synchronicities and trying to even place it. Like I get in my car, I want to hear Led Zeppelin today when I drive around. I want to hear this band. It's a good thing to play with, and see if that song, and then forget about it, and then later on, boom, there's the song going. Oh my god, that's crazy, It's fun to play with, and I want to get back. And we're talking with Greg Martin, by the way, lead guitarist of the Kentucky Headhunters, and this is really cool, by the way.
Glad being here, man. I'm enjoying this.
Right on. I am too as well. And I want to go. I'm going to sidetrack real quick. I want to get back to Bigfoot, but real quick, since I got you.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Yeah.
I remember you guys because I moved to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and that's when my first introduction to country rock music was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys are all over the place. I learned how to two-step, and I'm sure one of the songs was yours. I'm sure. Have you been to Las Cruces, New Mexico? Do you guys play there? El Paso?
At some point in my life, I've been there. I've been on a tour bus since 1981, and I played with a country artist by the name of Ronnie McDowell from 81 to 89, and played all over New Mexico. The Headhunters have played all over New Mexico. I just can't place that right now, but that sounds so familiar. I'm
sure there's a good possibility I saw you guys play in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
How old are you?
I'm 50. I'll be 52 in 2 days.
Okay. I know 21. I've been there before, but I can't remember. I can't tell you when.
I moved there in 90 to go to school at New Mexico State University, and I was there from 90 to 97. So
okay. I bet we were there. We were there.
Oh, you were. Yeah.
When our first album was released in October of 89, that was like October 89. The first 3 months were fairly calm, but man, when it early 90, Dumas Walker and Walk Softly, when they hit, it just threw everything. It was like getting on a wild horse and riding. Mm. So we were, we started touring with Hank Jr. In the spring of 1990. So we were all over that area. We were everywhere, and Dumas Walker, you were probably two-stepping to Dumas Walker, probably. Yes, you were.
I was looking at your videos, and they were so much fun to watch, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys do play on a lot of flatbeds, though. I'll tell you that much.
We do. We still every now and then we still do that. I know we
I
played.
love it.
We played some last year. That's the Southern rock thing, man.
No, I know. It's, I'm watching the video. It seemed like everyone in the video were just friends with the bands. Am I right on that? Does it seem like a lot of the guys in the videos that you use?
Oh yeah, a lot of the videos we brought our family. If you
Yeah.
go back to the Walk Softly video that was shot in the summer of '89 before the album came out, it's shot in the top of a barn over on the young Richard Fred's farm. Those people we grew up with, we knew. If you go to the Dumas Walker video, which was the next video, that was shot in Tompkinsville, Kentucky, and they turned the school into a kind of a bar place. That's a long story, but yeah, we knew a lot of people on that video. Oh Lonesome Me, yeah. I think they brought some ringers in on the Davy Crockett video. It was shot in Nashville. So we didn't really, there was a few people we knew on that, but most generally, yeah, it's a homegrown organic thing. We bring people we know,
That's
and,
that's cool. I think it separates, you guys from a lot of other bands, and it's just one of those special things about the Kentucky Headhunters that I think people gravitate to, don't they? I mean, it's the genuine. It's you're genuine. You're a genuine rock country band, or should I say country rock band, right?
Man, you could whatever you want to call us. We grew up in the '70s. We aspired to be a heavy rock and roll band. We loved Led Zeppelin. We were called, if you go back the '70s, we were called Itchy Brother. It was Richard, Fred, myself, and our cousin Anthony, and it was nothing really like the Headhunters. It was a three-piece band, and we made Richard stand out front and sing. It was like a kind of a hillbilly version of Led Zeppelin and the Who, or something like that. Because that's we grew up around country music, but that was not what we aspired to be. We wanted to be a great rock blues band, and then by the end of the '70s, early '80s, it became apparent that disco had reared its head, and that rock and roll was kind of taking a backseat to that. And we almost signed with Swan Song Records, which was Led Zeppelin's label, when John Bonham died. But that went south, unfortunately, and we all had to go do different things for a while. So the country stuff kind of came in a little later. Man, Itchy Brother was not country at all. If we played a country song, we might do something as a joke. And I'm not making fun of country music because I love it, by the way. I love real country music. But we were trying to be heavy, man, and that's what we wanted to be. But by the time we put the Headhunters together in 1986, the country element had seeped in, rockabilly had seeped in. We were going more blues, so it become a different stew, a different musical stew by then. And then when you brought the Phelps brothers in, it made it even something different. So what do you call us? It's just some people call us a Southern rock band, a blues rock band. But there is always going to be that element of country just because we grew up in the country where we're from, so to speak.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Some people call it psychobilly.
Okay, I've heard of that. Right?
Yes, we've been called everything, but whatever you want to call us is fine, man. It's all about the music with us. And me and Richard and Fred have played together since 1968. I brought Doug Phelps in 1986, and at first everybody was a little skeptical because we were putting it back together. We thought our cousin Anthony was going to do it, and when he didn't want to do it, I suggested Doug, and he was the perfect fit. So it worked out. The same band that started it in '86, even though we had a few changes after that, it's the band that's together now. I think that's the magic combination myself.
Yeah. So if it works, why change it, right?
Exactly. It's just fate. It's there again. We get back to synchronicity. It's right. Fate. Things just worked out the way they were supposed to work out. Me growing up in Louisville and all of a sudden my dad in the latter part of 66, he got fed up with his job at Fawcett Printing Company. And he said, we're moving to Midcap County, which is with their family roots. And we moved down there. I would have never met Richard and Fred as we knew it if that hadn't happened. I met them in 1968, and that's how our journey began as musicians.
Right. So it's fun to go back and look at the synchronicities you missed and go, wow, oh my goodness, if that didn't happen, this would happen.
I think it was fate. We were put together for a purpose. Everybody has a calling in life. Maybe some people are called to teach. Some people are called to preach. Some people are called to be a politician. God help them. These days, or some people, everybody has a calling in life. And when you find that calling and you do it, it's not work. It's joy, man. It's a lot of fun. And when I got out of school, I went to work at a printing company for about 2 years, and that was miserable because I wasn't supposed to be there until I really embraced music and completely. I just wasn't whole spiritually, that's just what I was supposed to do. And I believe that with the same for Richard, Fred, and Doug and I. We were just meant to be together.
I can only imagine how many people out there in the world are just, so unhappy with themselves because they're not doing what they want to do, and they're not able to do what they want to do. And I think when you look at it as in an overall picture, it's kind of holding the whole planet back a little bit.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of unhappy people because they don't take time to listen, as you and I have been talking, to what they're supposed to be doing in life. Some people are meant to be a teacher, and if they don't teach, they're miserable. If I didn't play guitar, I'd be miserable. I would be playing guitar whether I would be making a living or not, because I just happen to love it. But when you find that calling in your life, you just do it. And things work out. And yeah, there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to have valley experiences. You're going to have, then you might have a mountaintop. I mean, the Headhunters have been, it's been a roller coaster ride. I mean, we came out in 1990 and man, we started, double platinum album, winning all those awards. And then we went through a period where things were kind of rough, but we stuck it out together. And I just believe that's just because we were meant to do it. And you grow. It's the adversity that causes you to grow. And I remember in 1991, things were going great. We're winning awards. We won our second CMA award, and I'm going, I don't know, this is just unusual. I know something's going to happen, and it did. But we got through it, man, and we're still doing it. We're still doing it. Mm-hmm.
No, that's great, man. That's awesome. And you're right. It's no matter what doing what you love to do is important, and people need to understand how important it is for them to do what they love to do. And I think that's a real big key for people to accept and know that even the job they have that sucks, you got to wean your way away from that to do what you want to do. I mean, that's, but
yeah,
it's hard to do.
You love doing what you're doing. I can tell. You love this.
Yeah.
Not everybody was cut out to talk about the paranormal or the Bigfoots or ghosts, UFOs, and things like that. But man, I want to tell you, it is something that really interests me. I find that fascinating. I really do.
For me, I was, DJing on a alternative station in Phoenix, Arizona, Monday through Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. And I had a lot of time to talk. So I was like, I want to talk aliens, man. This is 2015.
It's great.
So I had a segment every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. It was about aliens. And then once that ended, I ended up doing it on Saturdays for a podcast for a little while. So, and I've kept doing it ever since. John has been setting me up with great interviews like yourself, and it's been amazing to continue to talk to some really cool people and just hear different sides and stories and what have you. And that's what keeps me going, because it's really an open-ended thing. You don't need a degree to talk about aliens. You don't need a degree to talk about ghosts or Bigfoot, because no one knows what's going on with them.
That's right, brother.
You know,
That's right. It's infinite. Who knows?
right.
I mean,
It's
you ever just think about this universe? Your mind, your brain starts melting, don't it? You just go,
well,
it's infinite. I mean, it's just, we can't even comprehend, you know.
it's too much to comprehend. So it's overwhelming, and that's why, you know, if you can kind of bring it down to just the nuts and bolts of what's in front of you, because I'm not a disbeliever, but I'm also I have a BS meter. Okay, you know. So if someone's going to come up and tell me this crazy story, I'm in my mind, I'm going, you know, red flag, beep, 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 you know, this might be BS, but I'm still going to believe this person because that's where they're coming from. This is the person that's telling me a story that they believe is true. So why should I not believe this person, even though it might be outrageous? But I'm still going to accept this person's story as long as I feel it's coming from an authentic point of view and this person is being genuine about their story. You know, I've talked to a lady who said she got abducted and had her ovaries, you know, the eggs taken out, and then she was shown abducted later on, the hybrid babies in a spaceship up in space, wherever she was at. I mean,
Wow.
this is the story. And I have it on one of my podcasts.
Sure. Oh, I'd like to see that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll put it up again. But I mean, yeah, she's got scars from it, or you know, she showed me scars. You know,
wow.
That's, to me, it's like, how can I say, no, you're wrong? You know, I can't.
Well, our finite selves, it's hard for us to really pick up on that, you know, understand that. But we all have discernment. You've got discernment. That's what you were saying when the BS meter. But, you know, these people have experienced something. That's the reason when I read these stories about people that see Bigfoot, they're well-meaning people. Why would they lie? I know there's some glory seekers out there that would probably lie just to have a story, but most of these stories I read, they see it. They see this stuff. They see ghosts. Yeah.
Right. So why should I say you're wrong and I'm right when I have no idea what, you know, it's anybody who gives me a story about an abduction or anything like that, I don't really pull the BS thing out, to be honest with you. It's more of like wild stories. There's a guy online, Billy Woodward, or Woodard, I think his name is, who claims to be from Hollow Earth. And
I never heard that.
And he wears this copper headband, and he tells the story about him being in Hollow Earth and how he was found in a garbage can in Austin, Texas, or something like that, with his sister. And then later on, they abducted him and brought him back to Hollow Earth to show him where he's from, where he says he saw pterodactyls flying, dinosaurs walking, Amelia Earhart, and other people. Okay, yeah, your BS meter's flying off. You know, it broke the meter, basically what it is. You feel that, you know. But when you watch this guy tell the story, the conviction he has in himself, you know, the confidence he has that he knows what he's talking about, always makes you wonder that, like, oh my God, like, what if this is true? What if the Earth is hollow? What if you can get in the Hollow Earth by, you know, the South Pole or the North Pole? We don't know. I've never been to the South Pole before.
Well, if a person can believe a politician, why can't they believe some of this other stuff?
that you're absolutely 100% on that. There's, you know, I mean, we have cult followers as well.
I'm not taking up for either side, by the way. I'm not one of those guys, but
no, but you're right.
Yeah, hey man, I don't.
It's
I respect anybody if they've got a story, and I've heard some good ones. You know, I just, when I was a kid, Neil Ford told me things, and these are stories that he had heard growing up. You know, people living in houses and people hearing singing at night upstairs, and there'll be nobody there. You know, and stuff like that. It just amazes me. It was just placed in my heart years ago. It's always intrigued me about these stories. They really have. So Bigfoot. Yeah. Do you have a lot of Bigfoot people that have seen Bigfoot and stuff?
I had a guy, I guess, who actually does a kind of a Bigfoot type of podcast, and he talked about a story where him and his wife were in a cabin, and there was some pounding on the door and the windows, and there apparently was Bigfoot sightings that night. I mean, it's really hard to get someone to say they actually saw and seen it, because Bigfoot in a lot of worlds is an interdimensional being.
That's what I believe too.
So, if this guy can disappear at will, or woman,
and they never the photos are always fuzzy, and there's probably a good reason for that, because maybe the cameras just can't pick up the whatever frequency they're on or whatever.
Right.
You know, they're always, not always, but they're usually pretty fuzzy, right? The photos.
That's the same as UFOs, which is interesting because they're being, there's a story that they're interdimensional and they can appear whenever they want to appear, and maybe the camera's the same. That's I'd never really thought about that. That's fascinating, because they're interdimensional. The cameras won't pick up their vibration.
Exactly. We're talking about even though the camera's digital, would an analog camera pick up? Well, is that even possible? Is analog, or maybe old film? Maybe old film. I don't know. There's the famous Bigfoot film from California, '67. You know the one I'm talking about.
Were they walking like this?
Yes. Yeah, and it's amazing. There's stories. Gosh, there's stories. There was a story about a lady here in this, I think it was in South Central Kentucky. Supposedly she would feed a Bigfoot. She would put food out every night, or throw food out, and it would feed. There's a lot of stories, man, around here. If I could find the Bigfoot site, I could send that to you, and you could get a lot of.
Yeah, I would love to.
There's a lot of sightings around here. There is, man. I just haven't seen it, but here, I believe it's out there. I just haven't seen it. Maybe I need to put my antenna up a little higher.
No, right, baby. I have no doubt that there's a Bigfoot out there. I mean, it's weird. It's one of those things that's like always been with us, and Native American cultures have their own Bigfoot, Sasquatch,
That's right.
Even in Oklahoma or Nebraska, I remember seeing something where theirs is like a redhead Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I listened to. It was an audio of him being actually telling a story about his Bigfoot experience, how he was captured in the woods and held captive by a Bigfoot family.
Prospector Albert Ostman, in 1924, was camped near Toba Inlet in British Columbia. While asleep in a sleeping bag, he was picked up and packed several miles. Daylight found him in a small valley encircled by cliffs. This was home for a family of these creatures. He was able to escape after 6 days by getting them sick on a box of snuff. Now let's listen to Mr. Ostman's experience.
Well, there was 4 of them, and none of them look alike. There was what I call the old man, because I had no scale or any rules for measurement, but he was at least 8 feet tall, and must have at least 800 pounds. What I call the old lady, she couldn't have been over about 600-700 pounds. She was probably 7 feet tall, and they were all covered with hair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
really interesting. I mean, this is like old school. I'm talking about like the 30s and 40s. He's talking about this happened to him or something like that. That's what I would do. I would find these different stories of people talking about their experiences, and I would clip up the audio up and I would play that, and we would discuss the audio of them telling their stories. So that's where you could tell, like, you can just tell when someone's BSing you. I think you can, unless they're a really good con guy.
That's right.
I think,
Hey, didn't Teddy Roosevelt encounter some Bigfoots or something? Shoot one, supposedly. You check me on that, folks. Y'all check me out.
Love
Check
to
my history. I believe you could go out there and put Teddy Roosevelt, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or whatever. I mean, there's stories out there, man. There's stories, especially in this state. I wish I'd done my homework and brought a few forward for you, but it's out there. I'll find this site for you to check out.
Yeah.
I mean, about 3 or 4 years ago, I would go to this site about once a week, and because there's new sightings, reported, and a lot of them are from the 70s, because it's taken so long for these people to finally become brave enough to even want to talk about it, And I do believe these people are well-meaning. I think they saw it. They just, I don't know.
You mentioned it earlier. It's them, you want to come out and admit to it, and I guess it's getting better for people to do so, which is good. And there's so many more sightings out there that people have experienced that aren't talking about it, and that's another thing that's kind of like, like, oh, you kind of wish they would, it's but I don't know. I mean, being an interdimensional being that we think he is, it's I mean, it can't be the moonshine, can it?
Oh, it could be in Kentucky, but but yeah, mixed moonshine and Bigfoot around here, it'd be interesting. But no, people are seeing stuff. I believe it in my heart of hearts. As I say, there are some glory seekers out there, but you can usually detect those guys pretty quick, as you know. And there's a lot of stories I've read about my county. I'm in Barron County, Kentucky. Metcalfe County, there's been sightings there. There's been sightings all over the state, and it interests me a lot.
What do you think Bigfoot is? I mean, what's his purpose? Is there you ever put a thought behind that? Or, because I don't know if I really have, I don't know what his purpose would be. I mean, the only thing would be that they were on this planet before us, and they had to hide from humans when humans became on this planet. That's a theory. And I've even, if you go back, and if you go back to the early, the Old Testament, it talks about the giants of the earth. If you read that, yeah,
it talks about the women got together with the giants, which was another breed of humanity of some or something, and it could have been angelic, could have been angels of some type, and there was some kind of breeding going on there. Could it be something that happened back then? Because some of these beings were banished by God, supposedly. If you go back to Genesis or early the Pentateuch, so to speak, and I wished I had my Bible in front of me, but it could be something that was. It could have been a Bigfoot. It could have been an intermingling of humanity and spiritual beings of some kind. I don't know.
Right.
That.
We don't know that, but when you think about the Native Americans and their interactions with their stories of Sasquatch and what have you, that's very possible that they were intermingling with humans. And
I'm 6'7", but I also wear a size 17 shoe, so I'm kind of a Bigfoot myself. I'm a quarter Cherokee, and it is known throughout Indian tribes from Canada to Argentina that occasionally people in the Indian tribes would take a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot as a partner or a mate in life.
I mean, there's a story of I think it's the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan. Military guys found this giant that was apparently 11 feet tall.
This guy, I mean, laying down was very, very wide. I mean, and he was, like I said, he's in a fetal position, and you go up and you hit it, and of course he's under a tarp and all that, I understand that, but he was a dense guy. We questioned the babysitters of, hey, where'd you get this guy? And some of the Army guys there with him relayed to us that this guy had, I guess, been living up in the mountains next to a village where the villagers basically treated him like a god. I did infer that they were making sacrifices to this guy because they said they found bones of people The giant supposedly, like I said, I was not there, supposedly killed the first team that they came across. He was extremely big and fast and agile for a guy that size. They sent up another team, and when the second team went in there to get him, supposedly he had already started to basically eat on the team that had been killed the first time. They then grabbed a helicopter, and the helicopter brought him down where we picked him up.
Yes, everybody's got every country. I mean, Russia, just different places have got different. They call it. There's a different name, right?
But isn't that weird though? Do you think about that, right? Around the whole world, every part of the whole globe has their own version of Sasquatch, or their own version of UFO, or their own version of it. It's just there's a coincidence there that there's something there. I think that we're not seeing, and we don't want to see.
It stems out of the spiritual realm. Bigfoot, ghost, UFOs. I mean, there's a guy or two on my bus that would be laughing at me right now because he doesn't believe in anything like that, and he would be one of the smartest guys I know in the world. But he's head smart, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, he wouldn't believe it at all. But the spirit, you got to be. It's all coming from the spiritual realm, and we're all spiritual beings. This is just an earth suit. You know, this is what we're in. We're in an earth suit. I mean, is it? Think about God's plan. He puts us on this planet, and in order to everything has to be perfect for us to live. The temperature, the air, the oxygen. We have, and we're all. Basically, it's just we're spiritual beings with this body for a short time. Some people shorter than others, but most generally 70, 80 years old. I do believe that. What is Bigfoot? He's a spiritual being of some kind that can transcend time or dimensions. Some people can see him, some people can't. I'd love to. Most generally, I've never heard anybody. I don't think I've heard anybody being really hurt by Bigfoot. Have you? Or maybe he has, but he sure could scare the crap out of people.
Well, all I know is there's a lot of people that go missing in the woods all over the world. So.
That's another thing. They do. And
I don't know if that's related or
it could be, man. I mean, do they end up in another dimension? Do they end up on a spaceship? Do they end up? Right. Where do they end up?
I feel like that old Twilight Zone where there's a hole in the wall. Remember that old Twilight Zone?
Yeah, I was watching Twilight Zone last night.
Yeah, that reminds me of that. Just that dimension in the wall you just disappear into. I don't know where you go. No one knows where you go. Maybe it's another world just like this, and it's better or it's worse. I mean, the collective of humans' interest in UFOs, Bigfoot, and what we're into, what we like, and everything like that. I mean, is there a possibility? I don't never really examined this question before. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Of just our wanting to not be alone on this planet.
I think we all look. Come on, I think we all. There's some people that absolutely are going to reject even what we're talking about. You know that they think we're crazy, but I think in our heart of hearts we have to think that we're not alone, and I know our creator is, I don't even know how to say it. He's brilliant. Out there's got to be so many different dimensions. I just don't believe we're alone, man. I just don't believe it. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think most of us don't want. I think most of us want to believe that there is something else out there. I want to believe when I leave this realm of life that I'm going to heaven, and that's what I believe as a Christian. And I can't even comprehend what that's going to be like. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be amazing, but there's so many unknowing things out there that we don't know. we don't know, that our finite minds can't pick up on.
And there's been so much I don't think we've been told about ourselves. I think we don't even know a lot about ourselves, about our own energy, our own power that we have ourselves, that
we're not even using. How much of the brain are we even using?
And and why is that being suppressed on us? It's like,
I mean, maybe, I don't understand that, but it's amazing. And I'm sure the government knows things that we don't even, I mean, they know things. What about New Mexico and all that out there? Come on, I've studied that a little bit. New Mexico. That's amazing, and I'm sure you used to listen to Art Bell growing up, didn't you? A little bit.
I know Art Bell, yes, very much. Yeah,
does the new guy touch on that?
I don't really listen to the new guy, to be honest. I think in a sense that show it's almost too heavy to listen to, if that makes sense. I don't know if this should be such a heavy topic. I think my approach has always been to be a little bit more loose. A little bit more lighthearted.
For sure, man.
Because I dig it. Yeah, because I think if you angle it with more of an approach of the average layman out there to try to entice them in to be interested in the subject, I think you got to be a little fun. You got to be jovial, at least have some fun with it a little bit. I don't make fun of abductees. I don't make fun of people telling the stories, but there are certain things you can make fun of, and that's...
I'm with you. What I used to pick up from Art Bell, that he was searching. Did you ever pick that up? It seemed like he was always searching, like he was always interested in what they're talking about, but none of us really know what's going on in other realm, but it seemed like he was always inquisitive, like he was wanting to believe that there's a better day coming after, of course he knows now, I guess, but
well, I'm in the same boat. I'm a very optimistic person. I want to believe that this is all good stuff, and this is only going to help people. And people need to use their own power to help people themselves and help themselves. I mean, it's all about you taking care of yourself before you can take care of others. Right. And you really got to take care of yourself mentally, physically, health wise. It's really important that we do this, and I've just learned this myself turning 50, going, all right, it's time for me to learn how to take care of myself, because I wasn't doing that very well. Living to your full potential, and I think that's, people need to realize that it's there for you if you want it, and if you don't get dragged down by the news, don't get dragged down by I
don't listen to the news hardly ever anymore.
I'm not either.
I guess, but I don't.
Well, I'm aware of what's going on, but my music's playing 24/7 in my house. So
I was doing another interview one day, and this is my security blanket, by the way.
I love it.
This guy said, "How do you cope with what's going on?" I say, "Unplug the negativity." I quit watching the news. I get on Facebook, but I don't deal with Facebook. I don't get up there and argue with people. I post music stuff. The music is my life,
right.
And it's what I was put on earth to do. I love my family. I'm really intrigued by what we're talking about, because it all goes hand in hand with spirituality, and I like your looseness about it. We're all, man, these are just temporary earth suits, and what's important is the spirit side that's inside of us. The body is basically the temple for the Holy Spirit, and the thing is, there's things out there that we don't understand. We won't understand until we leave this realm, but it's interesting to talk about it, and I do. And there again, you could probably make fun of some of this stuff that people talk about. I mean, not to their face, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah. I had a segment on my show. It's called "Maybe It's Real" or "Maybe It's Make Believe," and so I do headlines from. I'd make up my own headline, or one guy says, "If you eat fake meat, you'll turn into the devil, something like that. That was like, all right, is that a real headline or is that a fake headline? Like that kind of thing, and that was a real headline, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Somebody thought
So
like
that was a real headline. That if you
headline,
eat,
yeah.
take me, okay. I may have to go have barbecue today, and that guy's. No, man. We're put on. I do believe we're all put here for a purpose. I believe you're doing what you really enjoy doing. Is this there? What else do you do? Do you have you a musician?
No, but I put my guitar next to me so I can show you my guitar.
Let me see your guitar, man. What you got?
You ready for this?
Yeah. Oh, that's an Ibanez. Now, what is that? Tell me what that is. Oh, a Skylark. What is a Skylark?
Japanese guitar.
Was probably a really good guitar.
It's an amazing guitar. I've had some amazing guitarists play out in Phoenix, and they love it. They said it's really heavy.
Is it 70s? 70s?
I got this in '83.
Well, I can see it's got DiMarzio or Bill Lawrence pickups. Probably it's got the super distortion pickups. It's got a really cool bridge on it. Yeah, it's a solid guitar, man.
It's a solid guitar. I think, yeah, it's a really, I love it. And I'm not really good at it. And I've had it forever. I'm the ultimate Bart Simpson. I'm the ultimate underachiever when it comes to my guitar. And I hate that I hate that I have it so much and I only know 3 chords. Yeah.
Well, you could, you could write a song with 3 chords.
I know you can. Yeah.
I do a radio show. I've been doing a radio show for 22 years. It's a blues radio show.
I saw that. Yeah.
The last 20 years, it's been at a rock station out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. It streams. It's called the Lowdown Hoedown. Nice. It streams live every Monday night. I was on last night from 7 to 10 Central Time. Anybody can hear it. WDNSFM.com. I've always been infatuated with radio, and I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, and, no doubt.
It's something, when the old hands start failing me a little bit, and as long as my mind is still with me, I would like to do what you're talking about. Take my radio show to another, syndicate it on terrestrial radio, or I don't know. I'd rather. I have this love for terrestrial radio because
me too.
I think Sirius is great, by the way, but there's just something about those little stations, like driving around and picking up these stations out of the blue. Yep. When I was a kid growing up, especially living in Metcalfe County, out in the middle of nowhere, having that AM radio at night, and the way Skip works on AM. One night you might pick up Mexico, you might pick up Texas radio, or you might pick up Chicago really good one night. I just think it's great. It's an adventure. Radio's an adventure. And boy, it's a friendly voice when you're out driving late at night to hear, I like good talk shows too. If they challenge your intellect, I like it.
I loved DJing because I love music.
Me too.
And I love talking aliens. So my show did have alien music to it. So I have a lot of I have like 300 songs of bands with alien Bigfoot.
I think it's great, man. I think it's a great subject because it's something that's intrigued me for a long time. It has.
And I think, it's becoming more open, I think, and I think that's what I like about it more. I think people are more comfortable talking about it, in the open, where forget the past because we can't change that. So obviously here we are now. And, if I can create something where somebody listening in can feel more comfortable talking about this type of subject, or feel like it's not such a taboo subject for them to get into, because I'm with them. I'm like you. I don't know. I'm just kind of just an inquisitive guy, just trying to make sense out of this whole thing myself, and if I can do it in a fun way on the radio and it appeals to people where it's not being, too dark and too heavy and or too convoluted with tech talk and and just mumbo jumbo that you don't know anything about.
Yeah,
it's not. I have to talk to friends all the time. Yeah, I saw something in the sky. Let's talk about this. I'm like, right on, you know.
That's my only experience. But as I said earlier, you know, when we started, remember seeing that light bouncing around the sky, and that wasn't normal. And it wasn't just me that saw it. It was 2 or 3 of the guys in the band. And, you know, this is way back. You got to understand where we practice that. It's out in the country. And on a spring night, a summer night, when it's uncloudy, man, it's just beautiful. You can see the stars, and it's just wonderful out here. I guess where you live, is it a lot of smog, right?
Well, no, there's not. Smog is kind of gone now, but it's just
is it gone?
It's the light pollution. The light pollution.
Oh, yeah. And where at in LA are you at? What
I'm
part?
in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
North of the city, a little bit north.
Well, I have heard what Merle's name. There's a fella out there that does music. Merle Frankfurt, what is his name? Man, you need to hook up with this guy, and I'll have to hook you up with him.
Right on.
He evidently he's seen some alien stuff. Evidently, there's off of Hawaii or somewhere out there. They supposedly used to watch UFOs land in the water out there. Have you heard stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. And right off the coast of California, there's a lot of underwater UFO sightings. USO, unidentified submerged objects, I think, or USO, I don't know, something like that. But yes, there's supposedly underneath the water off the coast of California. There may be a base underneath. We don't know. We don't know. Like I said, I'm not flying to the South Pole to see if there's an entrance into the Earth. I'm not flying or not going underneath the water a mile deep to see those caves with aliens underneath there, or if there's a mystery base of top secret government thing going on underneath us. I don't know this stuff. So that's why you got to keep it fun in a sense. I mean, it's like, because we don't
absolutely know. Well, this gentleman, matter of fact, he just sent me an email about 2 days ago, so maybe there's synchronicity there. Maybe it was a song. It was a song. Maybe I should turn you on to him, and maybe you guys could get a conversation going, because I've had him on my show a couple of times talking music, and we go off and talk about some of the stuff. Evidently, Hendrix, when they were doing Rainbow Bridge, there was some sightings going on out there, and that was in Hawaii, supposedly. John Lennon supposedly saw a UFO in New York. You know about that?
There's an audio of him saying it. Yeah, I play that a lot on my podcast and stuff like that, of him mentioning seeing it go right down to the UN. You know, the lights are turning off and on. And
up there, I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river. It wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a balloon, and it was so near.
And it looked what, sort of round, white, luminescent, and silent?
Silent, and it looked dark, like black or grey in the middle, and had white lights, just looked like light bulbs, you know, just going off, on, blink, 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 round the bottom, and on top was a red light.
It's bizarre. Why would, like I said, why would people lie? Why would they come out and say something that would put them at ridicule? You know, there's no reason for that.
Why would you do that? Yeah, why would you do that?
Right.
And that's why people do not come forward to say anything. And there again, there's nothing I'm holding back that I can't think of. I just feel things, you know, I feel stuff. I believe there's stuff out there. And there's some guys I know that'll say, Greg, you're crazy. There ain't nothing, you know, but I feel like there's stuff out there that we can't explain, you know.
It's the same as you walking into a room and getting a weird vibe from someone. You've felt a weird vibe from someone, and you know that person wasn't a good person, and you just knew. And it's getting tapped into that more often, you know, realizing your own senses to what's around you, I think is really important. Recognizing the synchronicities, recognizing the energy around you. I think it's an important thing for people to tap into, but you know, that's another subject. I need to get a professional on that to talk about.
That's okay, man. I mean, I know where you're coming from.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about for me. I like, as far as like the energies and stuff like that. There's got to be someone out there that knows about that, you know. So it would be.
There is. I think you're doing a great job, man. When John told me about your show, I said, "Oh no, man, that sounds great."
Right on.
I said, "Great." I said, "Yeah, let's do it." You know, I said, because
That's cool.
I mean, even though we're talking about the Headhunters a little bit, you know, but most generally, I've been talking about music. So I don't mind talking about that because it intrigues me. It intrigues me as a human.
You're right, and and overall, I think this is one of the things we have to accept as humans. I think as far as like the possibilities of what's out there, it's an important thing to know. It's an important thing I think we should all grasp into. But that's, you know, I think we're missing out on a lot as far as on how to treat people. You know, you look at the planet the way it is. You know, everyone has their own ideas, and there's not a basis of how to, you know, everyone should be fed. Everyone should have clothes. Everyone should have a roof over their head. Everyone should be, you know, at least the basics, you know, should be taken care of. Sure. And I don't know why I'm driving into that subject right now. But.
No, it's okay. Man, the glue that would hold this whole thing together is a very simple thing called love. You know, and that's we're really lacking in that department. There's too many pride, greed has been a bad problem over the, you know, since the beginning of time. Now we're in the middle of there's war going on, Russia and Ukraine. It's crazy. We've come out of a crazy pandemic. You know, there's people fighting over politics, which I think is futile because politics is not going to fix. It's not going to fix anything, man. You know, it's funny that UFOs sometimes show up at strange times. And then you got other things like, oh gosh, what over in West Virginia? What am I trying to think? What was the flying creature over there? And
Mothman.
Mothman. I've read about that a lot too. You know, the bridge fell over in Gallipolis. I remember when that happened. I had an old tube car radio hooked up in the house. That was, I think it was 67 into 66, something like that. And could have been, yeah, it was around 67. When that bridge fell, I remember that when that happened, you know, and of course they're trying to connect that with Mothman, or is that right?
Yeah, I mean Mothman, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That's another thing that's interesting, you know, from that area.
Mothman, it's all stories, you know. In Mexico, it's the chupacabra, you know. You know.
Yeah, I've read about that too. Yeah.
So it's it's folklore that's just continued on from the beginning of time, and we have it part of our collective thoughts. And
maybe some people are just wanting to believe things, but I believe there are people that see stuff, and you've had people on here. I'm sure that the BS meter has gone off a few times, but you know, just have to. We won't know until we're out of this Earth suit, I don't think.
You're right. Unless they come out of the blue and say, here's the real deal, and then that's good.
Yeah.
That's change some minds a little bit.
If I walked outside and I see a flying saucer, would my senses be going, oh no, right. No, man. I used to say, somebody said, did you ever see flying saucer? I said, yeah, my mom and dad got into it one time at my Aunt Bertha's house. They were throwing dishes and stuff. But no, man, I do believe it's out there, brother. I don't know why some of us are more receptive than others. I'm not really sure why.
I don't know, but I'm hoping more people will become more open to that's the thing, more receptive to the possibilities of what's out there. Greg Martin, this has been a lot of fun chatting with you, man. I know you got a new album out too with the band Kentucky Headhunters. That's a fact, Jack. We're
from another planet, you know.
You are called Kentucky, right?
That's right. Good one. Yeah. We got a new album. That's a fact, Jack. 12 songs. It was released back in October. We'll be back. Well, we're already back on the road. We were in Indiana, North Carolina, and Tennessee this past weekend, heading to Alabama Saturday. And we'll be out all year round promoting the new album and hopefully bring a little joy to people's lives. I hope.
I was listening to music. It's hard not to put a smile on your face when you listen to the Kentucky Headhunters. It's one of those bands. You're just one of those bands that just brings fun out, and you can see it on the stage too. That's the thing. You're fun to watch on stage. You're having a good time, and you can see
have a
that.
good time.
And that's, to me, that's what's the most important when I watch a band live on stage is how much fun is the band having? Because I think a lot of times you watch a band, it doesn't seem like they're having fun. I mean, I've seen a lot, and I'm a metalhead, so I watch metal bands all the time, and they're not supposed to have fun on stage. I get it, They're supposed to have a mean face on their, look and everything like that. And you can tell they're having fun. But I mean, there's also some bands you can tell that they're going through the process.
We're having fun. I mean, we played in Greenville, Tennessee Sunday night, and I love it when things just happen that aren't supposed to happen. And sometimes we fall on our butt, but the audience gets to see a band without a net.
Right.
We're not phoning in the show. And I don't think our band phones in the show. I think it can go a different direction any given night if we want to. I don't believe we ever give anybody a bad show. Some nights maybe somebody don't feel good or whatever, don't feel right or sick, but we always give 100% and try to give 110. But there again, sometimes the fun stuff that makes me laugh is like when somebody just falls on their butt on stage. We'll just stop. Let's do this again. We're humans, man. We're humans.
Right.
But we're easy to find on the internet. To check us out if you want to catch us live. KentuckyHeadhunters.com, KentuckyHeadhunters.net. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Maybe on MySpace, but haven't been there a long time.
Yeah, you forgot your password on that one.
Oh God, been there a long time.
Any chances of coming out to the West Coast?
Yeah, there is. We just recently changed agencies. The last time we used to play California in your area a lot, and it's weird. We were with another agency, and that's as far as we ever got out there was maybe like, we're going to be in Colorado in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Or in a week. But I believe either if it may happen this year, but by next year, I think we'll start coming back out your way again. Because this new agencies, I think they mean business. They'll get us back out there. Because we need to play California. I enjoy California. I love playing out there.
It's big, a lot of people, big mix of music out here, and it's all loved out here too, which is great. So
name some of the communities that's near you, so I get my head.
Well, like I'm like, I guess the community, like, okay, so San Fernando Valley would be, Burbank, Studio City, Sherman Oaks. That's where I'm at.
Oh, Sherman, the big mall, right? It used to be a huge mall. Oh, I was thrilled the first time I got to go there in the 80s.
Oh yeah, well,
how many movies were huge mall. Now Costa Mesa, that's a different direction.
That's down south. Yeah, that's Orange County. Orange County, Long Beach. That is all a little bit south of.
I know where you're at. Yeah. It's been a while.
I'm close to. I'm close to Ventura County. I'm closer up to like Ventura or Santa Barbara, a little bit north of me, a little bit. So.
Yeah, we played all over that area in the past. We just need to get back out there before we get too darn old,
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys out here. It'd be great. I really appreciate your time. I really do. It's been a joy chatting with you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
I was gonna call you Jumping Jack Gas.
Hey, I'm down with that too, man. I'm always my radio show is called Driving with Gas. Man.
Yeah, I saw that. I like it. Man, we'll be out that way, and we'll be out. We just another little thing for your audience. We're on the Grand Ole Opry in early December.
Nice.
It'll be on the Circle Channel around April at our performance, and so maybe some of your viewers can see that. Check us out on
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, just follow you guys at KentuckyHeadhunters.com and you'll post all that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Right on.
And Instagram is really, it's kept up to date. We got a new social media guy that's taking care of that stuff. So we try to stay in touch with our fans the best way we can. Yeah.
Far cry from walking down the street with posters in your hands, huh?
And we grew up doing that. We used to call ourselves a light pole poster band. You know, oh yeah, man, the 70s. Gosh, I wished I had. It'd be hard doing that now the way gas is, but we used to drive all over this South Central Kentucky putting posters up. We'd play the Glasgow, Kentucky Armory, and we'd go all the counties surrounding, put posters up, you know. So
had to.
Yes, that's what we used to do, man.
And now bands are like, hi, we're in your city, come see us. It's like, no, you can't do that. You got to like really engage in your listeners. You know, you have to like, I think in my opinion, I think the new poster thing is, I mean, you got to hit up every fan almost and tell them, hey, we're going to be in your city.
Man, you do. Cause there's a lot of, as we were talking earlier, there's a lot of things out there vying for your attention, you know, and it's harder to, even though there's so many ways to promote your band now with the internet and terrestrial radio still out there. I wonder, I still love it, but I don't know how powerful it is anymore. It used to be that newspapers used to be the thing, you know, but you just got to hammer people now because attention deficit people, you know, everybody's like a little flying squirrel, man. They're flying from tree to tree, you know.
That's sad. It's sad. Hopefully we need to reel it in, man. We need to stop these technology.
Yeah.
Let's go back to campfires and chilling out somewhere, you know.
That's right, man. Go back to CB radios. Did you ever have a CB radio?
My dad had one. Sneaky Pete was his thing. We would sneak into his car at night as kids, 9, 8 years old, and play around with the CB and try to talk to truckers.
Man. I loved it. I ran an electronics store in Louisville, Kentucky. It sold stereos and records and CB radios and stuff like that. And I had a CB radio, and I keep threatening to get another one. But isn't it interesting that back then, you know, you have a CB radio, and if you could talk 10 or 15 miles, you go, oh wow. Now, cell phones are infinite. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts.
I think we've gone too far in technology. That's my own personal opinion. I think we've gone too far. We maybe we can't come back from it too much, you know.
My wife says the same thing. It's probably gonna get worse, Kevin. It's probably gonna get worse. But we'll try to stay analog as much as we can. How about it?
I'm down with that. I'm on your side on that one. We're team analog.
A real guitar here plugged into a real amp back there, and I've still got a few guitars, as you can see right here. Lots of CDs and stereos and
holy crap.
Yeah, this is my hideaway.
Oh my goodness.
Here. Yeah. This is where I hide at, brother. I've got Marshall amp.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've torn my little thing up here, but that's okay. I'm sideways in it. Well, it's going sideways now.
That's a
sorry, people. I've been abducted.
How do you choose which guitar to play? You look at so many of them, they're like, oh my, which one is it?
Man, it just depends on the tone you want to go for. If I want a big fat sound, I'll pick up the Les Paul, you know, with the humbucker pickups. If I want a little thinner sound or a little countryer thing, this is perfect for that. You know, this is a really good, you know.
Oh yeah.
You get that chicken picking. You know. And if I could really turn up loud right now through one of those, I'd show you what the Les Paul does. But just listen to Jimmy Page, and you'll get the idea. You know.
Very familiar with Page's work for sure.
Yeah, we love him, man.
This has been a pleasure.
Been great, buddy.
Awesome.
But I'm a kindred spirit, brother. I believe there's stuff out there that we need to be more receptive to studying a little bit. There's stuff out there going on.
Yeah, that's what's most important. It's not about the story so much as about the conversation we have about where it goes. And that's what's most important for me. So this has been
And
really
Ronnie Van Zant said it many years ago on the first Leonard Skinner song, "There's things going on." It's a good song. I'll check it out.
I love it.
Have
man.
a good one, brother.
All right, Greg. Thanks so much, man. Bye now.